Hi, welcome to Quiltinator.com. I'm Michelle Johnson. I realized after the last video that I had not shown you El Greco Part 3. I've been filming it over time and I've just never published it. So this is me getting to that part. And where we left off was the top had been adhered to fusible interfacing. We drew it out and we stitched that. And so what we did is we took that and attached it to a backing which had fusible fleece. And then all we had to do was take it to the machine and quilt it. And so here's a little section that shows you the quilting.
30 seconds worth of quilting, but it was really about 30 minutes. It really probably took 12 hours from start to finish for this, maybe a little bit more.
Now when I did the edges of the quilts, this is the only quilt that had a different binding on it. All of the rest of the quilts were done with satin stitching. And I did wait and buy the Creative Feet. And it came with a video and the instructions, and I bought all 4 feet that they had, which made it much easier to get everything done. So I have finished putting the satin stitch all around the edges, and this piece of fabric has done something the other ones hadn't. And that has come out of, it's got all these little pieces. So to fix that, oops, it's just a Sharpie marker. And then I can go back through and cut, but you can see that this Sharpie fixes all those little places where it frayed. So that's your quick tool and quick tip. We are finishing up our El Greco pieces, and what I've done so far is I have trimmed this piece up and I have put velvet ribbon around the edge like a binding. And already I had drawn it out, stitched it out, added some quilting, and then I had the student paint it. Now we're going to set what she has colored. And she just colored it with matte pencils. You could color it with paints, fabric paint. You could do oils. And what I'm going to do to set it is, this is fabric medium. You can use textile medium. They're the exact same thing. This was just happened to be 70 cents over at Joann Fabrics. So you just shake it. And I have a old cottage cheese lid. And I have this little brush which was 25 cents over at Joann's. And so all I'm going to do for each piece is just put some in the brush, and then I'm going to go over the spots that she used her matte pencils on. And then what you do is you let it dry for about an hour. But all this is doing is just setting it so that way it won't come out over time, especially since it was such a light. I mean, she just barely put any color in here anyway. So you're going to want to just finish each piece around the edges however you feel like it. Satin stitch, binding, however you feel. If you want to couch some yarns or beads around the edges. And again, all this textile medium, fabric medium, all it's doing is just setting the color. And again, before you do anything else, you're just going to let it dry for an hour. We are to the point now where we can put embellishments on. And whether you use lace or beads, buttons, I've got tons of sequins, but that's a lot of handwork. So you have to just decide whether your piece is good just like this, or if it needs a few embellishments. And one thing I want to caution is on the Pirate, that was the one on the solid green, lime green, I put on the textile medium and I covered up the parts that were already colored, but it changed the color next to the fabric. It was like it was water stained. So what I did is I went ahead and then just brushed the whole rest of it. And it gave it a really great shape. It made it really hard and flat, and it didn't want to move. So it was great for, it was a piece not quite as large as this one, just a little bit smaller. And it was wonderful. But the problem was is I had not embellished it at that time. And to try to go through that fabric that was already hard with the textile medium wasn't going to work. So my suggestion is do your embellishments before you put on your textile medium.
Hat was satin stitched around the edge and then couched a funky bubbly eyelash yarn. The little deer, we just added some glass beads to kind of give it that sparkle. This little girl was into Coraline and loved the button over the eye idea, and so she did it completely herself. This one we also satin stitched around the edge and then couched a string of beaded crystals. This one was satin stitched around the edge, and of course I had put the stuff on so you couldn't do anything more to it.
So I'm Michelle Johnson, this is Quiltinator.com, and I am getting back